Hello and welcome to the Flourishing Introvert Talks with me, 𝗥𝗲𝘆 This is the podcast that celebrates the natural gifts of introverts so that we can flourish in all situations. Episode 302. The cult of busyness is over. Now here's the thing. Am I saying that the cult of busyness is over with hope in my heart and my fingers crossed behind my back, or with a degree of certainty? My friends, I can only speak for myself here, but it's over as far as I'm concerned. So from my perspective, there is certainty. I've seen and felt personally the damage that this ridiculous busyness expectation has on people. So quite why incompetent leaders still praise it is beyond me. Maybe the clue was in the phrase incompetent leaders. And society is no better with leaders being lauded for the ridiculous hours they work and then wearing it like a badge of office. I've spoken before of my disgust at the head of a certain investment bank who was crowing about the hours he worked and that he expected his employees to do the same. In fact, when he so generously restricted their working hours to 80 hours per week, employees celebrated as it was making a difference to their work-life balance. What the hell? Now, you might say they are paid enormous salaries so they know what they're getting into. My question is, does that make it right? I spent some time supporting the learning and development at a few investment banks, and it's not always a happy place, especially for we introverts. The culture and climate of places like that bullies us into believing that unless we keep up with the frenetic pace, we're lazy, uncommitted freeloaders. Utter tosh. I urge you in the strongest terms to recognise that the problem is not your pace, limits or boundaries. The problem is an addiction to an always-on hustle culture where abuse of power means the winner takes it all. This obsession with speed, constant fiscal growth and progress is not sustainable, so we're being set up to fail. It systematically strips away the conditions we need in order to do our best work and be our best selves. So driving for better productivity under those conditions is simply ludicrous. So the reason I can say the cult of busyness is over for me is because I've chosen that to be the case. I'm reclaiming my right to space and time to think in this world that worships bravado, speed and immediacy. Therefore, choosing to reject the busyness is an act of positive rebellion, and I've got my pirate hat on. What impact does complying with this culture have on us? I'm sure you'll have felt it just as much as I did. Trying to do your best work whilst dodging the interruptions that are flying at you like poison darts, feeling the pressure to respond instantly, giving you no time to think things through properly, watching the loud but clueless getting rewarded and even promoted beyond their level of competence, being dragged into unplanned, unstructured and ultimately unproductive meetings that could have been emails, and not feeling safe enough to challenge some of the decisions being made and the behaviours at play. All of this results in that creeping sense of panic as your to-do list gets longer and you get further behind, even though you're working harder than ever. And I feel these pressures increase the fastest around this time of year. In fact, I call it seasonal madness, which is why for the past few years I've gifted my fellow introverts my seasonal sanity savers. They are gentle daily reminders designed to help you protect your clarity and energy every single day. I find them invaluable, so recommend that you check them out before we get much deeper into the month. Give yourself that gift. During these times of madness, when the busyness hits a different level, or at any time during the year actually, You may find yourself pondering why senior leaders and managers don't notice what's happening. Surely they must see the loss of productivity, the increasing stress, or the disengagement of their team members, don't they? Or maybe they do, but also don't feel safe enough to challenge the norms. For introverts, the big problem is the cognitive fatigue that muddies our ability to think clearly. And when we're in that state, we're highly unlikely to get into flow and do the deep work we're more than capable of. That leads to lower self-confidence and growing self-doubt. And when that happens, we start to believe that we have to do even more, to put in even more effort and even more hours to keep up. And so the vicious circle continues. Let's be clear here. Clarity is not a luxury for us or the organisation. It's a key part of competitive edge for all concerned. So the really brave thing that anyone with leadership ability could do is to quit the pushing harder nonsense, to take a pause and to establish the most humane way to go forward. We are not machines and don't respond well to being treated like one. The big question then is what is for us to do? We each have the power to take small actions that collectively make a big difference, freeing us from the busyness trap. Small actions they may be, but they still require courage. Ready? Number 1, protect your deep thinking windows as sacred. Plan them in your calendar or schedule and protect them at all costs. Number 2, slow the pace intentionally to raise the quality of output. Sounds counterintuitive, I know, but it works beautifully. Ask the searching questions that many are probably thinking but don't feel able to articulate. Number 3, replace performative busyness with deliberate action. This often means prioritising and delegating like a ninja and saying no more often. Number 4, decline meetings that don't have clear agendas or outcomes as they dilute attention. If necessary and or appropriate, provide your input in writing. And finally, number 5, choose to respond with clarity rather than speed. Take the time you need, but please do manage people's expectations. These actions challenge the busyness culture and model a smarter way of working, not just for we introverts, but for all employees everywhere. Take it from me, you may feel behind and even look so on paper, but it's not really the truth. You're being drowned in unreasonable expectations that run counter to our temperament and to an organisation's duty of care. Your clarity is necessary for your overall well-being, and you will never flourish whilst running on fumes. The moment you choose clarity over chaos, you step into your personal power. I invite you to seriously imagine what your life and work would feel like if you prioritised clarity. You would be benefiting from being able to think more deeply again without overthinking. You'd be making more informed, well thought through decisions. Your creativity, be it adaptive or innovative, would be on the rise again. And all in all, your self-doubt dissolves, allowing your confidence to soar. Feels good, doesn't it? And because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined, you've now given yourself a taste of the future. So far from idle dreaming, this is paving the way for a future in which you truly flourish, and it begins with giving yourself permission to step off the hamster wheel and reclaim the cognitive space you need. Now, here's what I encourage you to do in the next 24 hours. Block out one thinking session over the next working week and hold it as sacrosanct. Start as you mean to go on, which means it's a non-negotiable. We're all entitled to that. As it was my choice, so it is yours. Choose wisely and bravely so you reject the busyness too. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, then please subscribe, rate us and leave a comment, because we know that helps other people find the podcast. And if other people find us, other introverts can flourish.
You are listening to an Intentional Media Production podcast.